What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. This Diddy case getting out of control, man. This day 3 wrap up. Let's check out this review from Melanie King.
When a prospective juror said that he knew a Robert Downey in high school, it was kind of funny. But Robert Downey, the actor, and Diddy apparently do know each other and have been seen together in public. But Robert Downey Jr. reportedly never attended Diddy's parties. So if he does figure into this trial somehow, it's going to be a lot of news to a lot of us.
Did Diddy's team just get schooled in court? One shocking video could send him to prison for life. And the jury? They've all seen it. Day 3 of the Diddy trial was wild. Let's unpack the drama.
And with no explanation why. At least, not yet. The parlor games have begun, my friends. Everybody is trying to connect the dots between the shiny, famous names and the beleaguered rap star Diddy. And the charges.
Here at the Southern District of New York Courthouse today, Wednesday, May 7th. We're into day 3 of jury selection in U.S. versus Sean Holmes. I've tweeted all of it. Day one, in which the HBO staffer remained in the pool, but the Scheinman and Schuster lady was out.
All right, so we're going to dive deep into the day 3 of the Sean Diddy Combs federal trial. We're talking once again of sex trafficking, racketeering, and courtroom showdown that's got everyone buzzing. Today, we're breaking down the jury chaos and a slammed lawyer and that damning 2016 video. And stick around for a twist that'll make your jaw drop. This is going to get...
You know what? I think this particular case, probably going to be just as big as OJ. The way the media going to sensationalize this case, it's going to be all over the internet, all over the media. I mean, they're gonna push this, man. They're trying to cook Diddy. You seen that just got Smokey the other day. I'm going to do a video on that too, man. So, but this case in particular, man, I think it's going to be just as big as OJ, man. If not bigger. They're going to make movies, TV shows, documentaries, all kind of spin-off just from this Diddy case. Watch.
Crazy. Let's go. So day 3 was on May 7th, and we are in the Manhattan Federal Courthouse. The judge is absolutely running this show. Diddy's facing charges that could lock him up forever. Sex trafficking and racketeering alone? Well, that could be a life sentence. Now, day 3, it's all about continuing to pick the jury.
Yesterday got more nitty gritty. You had a guy whose nephew shot a cop, almost got on. U.S. wasn't crazy about it. Things the guy said about the police, but there were at least by the end there were a number of people that remained in the pool. Were asked about where they worked. Were asked about what media they read. A lot of YouTube. A lot of people reading the news on YouTube. Almost everyone had seen the Sean Combs, Cassie Ventura hotel hallway and elevator video.
The goal of the jury selection is to qualify 45 jurors for the next phase. By the end, they hit that number, but just barely. The final juror, a woman who saw the 2016 video of Diddy assaulting Cassie Ventura. She called it shocking and scary, but swore she'd stay unbiased. And I quote, "I will always try my best to remain unbiased until I hear everything." Jury selection pauses until Friday.
Come on, yo. Can't believe that. That's one of the biggest things. This case is so high profile. It's gonna be really hard to find someone who didn't hear about all the things leading up to it and seen that video. So I don't know if I could trust, especially if I'm on Diddy's side, I definitely wouldn't trust her to be unbiased. A woman, and in Diddy's new lawyer, I heard she had something with Birdman back in 2001, 2002, where she accused him of some incident. I'm gonna do a reaction to that too, but man, I don't know about that jury, man. P. Diddy defense team need to try to get her removed.
This Friday, May 9th, and that gives them time to strike any jurors. That's when they'll lock in the 12 jurors and the 6 alternates needed for this case.
So some said that they could still be fair, and some were still let on. If you weeded them all out, you'd have nobody on the jury. But it was the people that said it's hard to unring the bell. One guy was bounced for that. Today is day 3, and it might, as Judge Subramanian said at the beginning, it might be the last day. They've got, they need to reach 45. They need to reach 45 in the pool, and then they start exercising peremptories, and they'll end up with a jury of 12 and the alternates.
Diddy's lawyers, Mark Agnifilo and Tenny Garagos, were fighting hard. They were flagging jurors everywhere. One juror in particular that they flagged, well, they said she was working for her justice, which I don't understand, and that she was possibly lying about her legal background. Garagos said it screamed dishonesty. And the judge, well, he wasn't having it. He said there's no proof she lied. Maybe the defense just didn't like her, but there's no reason to call her a liar. Now, another juror got the boot for ties to HBO's The Fall of Diddy documentary. And juror 263, gone for being too pro-cop because of their family's alarm business.
So that might happen late today. We're going to be, once again, live tweeting it. We're in for a penny, in for a pound. We're doing this in gripping and grueling detail. In the civil Diddy's taken over the courthouse. In the civil Diddy front, Will Rod Jones case, he was required to serve Cuba Gooding Jr. and the son Justin Dior Combs, and he did not, and they have been released from the case. They're out. That doesn't mean that the case is dead. It doesn't mean that that there was no merit to the claims. It means that if you don't serve somebody in a certain period of time, they are out of the case, and they are now out of the case.
Now, I brought you that story about the judge slamming a lawyer that was close to Diddy's team. It's Tenny Garagos' father, Mark Garagos. Why? Because he called the prosecution's pick of the jurors as a six-pack of white women on a podcast, the actual TMZ podcast, Two Angry Men, that Mark Garagos does with Harvey Levin over there. He's getting slammed for making this racial jab and even making it about race. Of course, Diddy is screaming he's been persecuted because he's a black man. Sure, that's the only reason why you're on federal indictment and you're going to trial. It's because you're a black man. But then making inflammatory comments that...
Yeah, like that can't be true. We've seen these black men being railroaded since forever. You know, this is a modern day lynching. Not particularly Diddy case, but a lot of these cases, Cosby, these are modern day lynchings, man. They don't lynch you out in the field, string up in the tree. They lynch you in the courtroom. What's even worse now, you have black people participating in the lynching via social media with the stuff and crap they say online. So I don't know why she's acting like this can't just be possible. We've seen black men get railroaded time and time and time again. Come on now, Shawty.
The jury is a six-pack of white women is really ridiculous, especially when he's not even on the case. But we found out that he was helping with jury selection while making comments against the prosecution on this podcast. And the reason why it was a big deal is because no one knew that he was working behind the scenes to help his daughter, one of Diddy's defense attorneys.
As jury selection continues, the judge overseeing the case called out attorney Mark Garagos, who is not officially on the rapper's defense team, but is working with its jury consultant, for referring to the prosecution as a six-pack of white women. U.S. District Judge Arun Subramanian told Garagos on May 6 per NBC News, "I think this is ridiculous. I think referring to the prosecution in this case as a six-pack of white women is outrageous." Subramanian continued, "This would not be tolerated in any court from any lawyer anywhere across the nation."
Day 3 was about building the jury, but it's a mess. Why? This case is everywhere. The news, on social media, documentaries. Almost every juror has seen that video or heard about Diddy's drama. The defense is sweating because an unbiased jury feels nearly impossible. Now, that final juror who called the Cassie video scary, yes, one of the jurors called it scary. She's a symbol of the challenge. Everyone's got an opinion. And the defense is pushed to nix jurors like her for her justice, which I don't even understand. Well, it shows that they're scared. They're trying to control the narrative, but the judge is shutting it down.
However, Hello, Moto.
But it's a mess. Why? This case is everywhere. The news, on social media, documentaries. Almost every juror has seen that video or heard about Diddy's drama. The defense is sweating because an unbiased jury feels nearly impossible. Now, that final juror who called the Cassie video scary, yes, one of the jurors called it scary. She's a symbol of the challenge. Everyone's got an opinion. And the defense's push to nix jurors like her for her justice, which I don't even understand, well, it shows that they're scared. They're trying to control the narrative, but the judge is shutting it down.
However, Garagos, whose daughter Tenny Garagos is one of the lawyers on Combs' legal team, argued that he was simply making an observation. He added, "You've got a black man who's being prosecuted and the client feels like he's being targeted." Garagos made the controversial comment about the prosecution during the May 2nd episode of TMZ's Two Angry Men podcast, saying at the time, "Based on my 5th decade in the criminal justice system, race underscores everything in the criminal justice system."
So we're going to see on May 9th if they're able to trim the 45 jurors to just 18. Opening statements begin on May 12th, and that's when the real fireworks are going to start. This trial is expected to run 8 to 10 weeks. Prosecutors are going to be leaning hard on that video of Diddy beating Cassie in that hotel from 2016, and also witness testimonies. But there's a problem with some of the witnesses because victim number 3, there are 4 victims that are witnesses for this case. Well, victim number 3 has just vanished. The prosecution can't find her own lawyer can't find her, and now they have the feds trying to hunt her down. So the prosecution has got a pretty difficult case on their hand. The defense, they'll paint Diddy as a target, a successful black man taken down by the system. But that 6-pack comment from Mark Garagos, the 6-pack of white women, it's a bad look. It's fueling talk of racial tension in and out of the courtroom.
No offense to Kevin Bacon, but when it comes to degrees of
No, I don't see why they're trying to act like race don't
the separation between artists and
like race don't play a big factor in all this. It does. That's why the case is so high profile, because you got a rich billionaire black man being taken down, so to say, by the system, the oppressors. So the race issue, the element is always there. This is America. It was built and founded on that.
actors and icons and movers and shakers, nobody is more entwined with the cultural fabric of the past 30 years than Sean Combs, Puff Daddy, Puffy, P. Diddy, whatever you call him. His fingerprints are all over music and television and fashion and fragrances, even the liquor that we've been drinking for decades.
Now, we know this case isn't just about Diddy. It's about holding Hollyweird, holding the elite finally accountable. Is it going to hold everyone accountable? Of course not. But we know this is one of the first steps. Now, there is a lot of chatter about why is Diddy the one going to trial right now? Why has he been thrown out there when we know he has handlers? None of this stuff, the freak offs, all of the things he's been alleged to do, none of that just started with Diddy. There have been rumors and even people speaking out as witnesses that they have seen a number of high-level executives in the music industry and in Hollywood involved in these things. Now, I don't know who Diddy pissed off, but it seems like the protection he once had, whether it's from Hollywood bigwigs or the feds themselves, has finally come to an end. For years, celebs like him operated untouchable, but the Me Too era and social media completely changed the game. That 2016 video didn't just leak. It went viral everywhere. I mean, everywhere. And public outrage finally forced this case forward. And the charges? Sex trafficking, racketeering, the prostitution, they aren't small. They can give you a life sentence. They're saying Diddy ran a criminal enterprise, not just a music empire. If convicted, he's looking at life, like I said, life in prison with no possibility of parole.
And even if you don't know Diddy from Puff Daddy, no judgment, boo. He's had many acts. But he's more than likely made an impression on everybody watching right now. I don't care what your age is. Maybe you'll never forget when he dated J-Lo. That was a big thing, quarter century ago. Trust me. Before Ben Jen, it was Diddy Jen.
Diddy's team wants an impartial jury, but they're cherry-picking jurors themselves. Calling out this woman and saying that she was lying and dishonest, well, that sounds like they're biased against her. And that 6-pack of white women jab, it's hypocritical to cry foul about bias while throwing racial shade, and throwing racial shade publicly. The defense is playing dirty, but the judge is actually calling their bluff. This trial is a cultural moment. It's testing if the justice system can hold the powerful accountable. Diddy's not just a rapper, he's a symbol of wealth, influence, and excess. If he goes down, it sends a clear message. No one is above the law. But if he walks, it'll just fuel distrust in the system already called corrupt and rigged.
Jury selection. Like, it's never exciting, jury selection. Oh, it's boring. You wait till the panel's picked and then the good stuff starts. No, not in this case. Jury selection's been amazing. The candidates are being asked about their own connections to or impressions of an array of celebrities, and with no explanation why, at least not yet. The parlor games have begun, my friends. Everybody is trying to connect the dots between the shiny, famous names and the beleaguered rap star Diddy and the charges.
But here's where it gets more insane. The six-pack of white women comment wasn't just a slip-up. It's a strategy. Diddy's team is trying to frame this as a racial witch hunt. They're planting seeds for an appeal if things actually go south. Think about it. Garrigo says it on a podcast, not in court because he's not actually on the defense team, his daughter is. But it's calculated to stir up people on social media, get people all riled up, and question the prosecution's motive. And the judge, even though he's calling it out, it still sends a signal to people who are watching. But he doesn't want games played in his courtroom because this is not just a trial. He knows what the stakes are in this case, and he's not going to let them get away with this foolishness. Diddy's empire is crumbling. I would say it's actually crumbled. And the weight of these allegations, the video that we've seen from 2016, I believe they're the final nail in his coffin. Now, if he is able to get away with this and they try to spin this into some racial injustice, I think it would be grotesque because this has nothing to do about...
Get away with words. The only thing people can say for a fact that he did was the video with Cassie. Everything else is hearsay. I haven't seen any evidence. Some people claim they have. I haven't seen any evidence. The only rock solid evidence I've seen was the Cassie video. And some say, well, I ain't gonna say that. I'm about to go into something different. But that's the only evidence I've seen of him doing anything. But people seem to be so sure like she just said, if he gets off, it'll prove that the system is corrupt. But we already know the system is corrupt, so what are you talking about? That won't prove the system is corrupt. Just that'll prove it though, right? I don't get some of these people, but man, this Diddy case, like I said, it's probably gonna be big as OJ, maybe even bigger. You know, you're going to have a lot of people, YouTube, all over social media, breaking it down every day. Hell, I'm going to be doing multiple videos on it. Melanie King, the young lady whose video I'm reacting to right now, I'm going to leave the link to her description, to her video in the description box. So go check that out. Give the video a like this video, subscribe to the channel, and peace. I'll catch y'all next video.